Hi friends, let's take a look at Link, and to help out as well, let's do Link versus the USD first, right? Okay, we'll do Link versus USD, followed by Link versus BTC. And what we're going to do is just take away all this sort of noise off the chart here just now. We've got moving averages, we've got Fibonacci's, we've got all sorts of stuff on the go here, and we've got patterns and everything else. I'm going to just quickly touch on the Fibonacci aspect of things because we're above the 236 currently, having gone up as high as the 382. They're just slightly beyond it. I'll just quickly draw one in again from down below. I actually really highly encourage you to watch the Ethereum episode right through to the very end, because that Ethereum Bitcoin section at the end has got educational content on it, which I think is worth probably just that one episode alone. I would say that if I wanted to put a price tag on it and charge people to watch it, which I could do, I believe would probably be worth something like $500, just in terms of the value that you could take away from that. I would genuinely, I'm not, in terms of what I've seen out there, in terms of, educational material, highly recommend you watch it. Anyway, where we are right now is below the 236 on this thing. So movements towards the downside could be initiated by that if we see a failure over here. 382, 50, the 50 and the 618 coming in there at 11.89, 11.48 and $11. So we're looking at this $11 section thinking that, in terms of the short-term time frame, maybe we have something coming in there as far down perhaps as 10.95, where indeed if we look at that, where that lines up with is this parallel channel in the background where you'd be looking for support. Now, of course, as well, to put into a broader perspective, movements down below this would invalidate this 236. So that would obviously be where you'd hope for defining support if we did break down towards the downside. And of course, then where that all ties in again with is about that 50% Fibonacci area over there. But what we do have here is this sort of inverted head and shoulders here. And we've not managed to break up above the neckline really properly. Not like there's been movements, of course there has been, and all that sort of stuff. But have we actually, moved on beyond and now changed the psychology of this area? Not yet. Have we properly failed this area at the minute? Not yet. I would say then looking towards these lows here at 1150, for just, that general sort of consensus about the direction of the price, where we have that 236 and whatnot, would obviously be fairly wise in that sense. And of course, more importantly, 1051 if we were to go towards the downside. Looking at the upside, you're talking 1288. Then, of course, up towards this 50% area. I'm going to hide all those drawings for now because I'm less interested in that in terms of this episode than I am really in terms of pointing out this, so where we stand with regards to 4-hour time frame and these moving averages. And that's now we're just above the 50 simple. Movements down below that I think would be quite negative, as we've had movements down, but we've not managed to actually open and close below it since we were in this negative downtrend. As you can see here, just simply put, as we moved down below it on the 2nd of September, that was negative. Movements up above it could be positive, but we've not really actually successfully managed to either open or close or above or below this for any sort of significant amount of time. We have had 4 hours candles to happen in there, but looking at this then and saying to yourself, oh look, we've just moved above this area. How does that feel? Are we going to bust through and then bring up the oscillators down below? You can see that we had that bearish divergence there. So that would have been giving you a good warning sign across the board here. 1, 2, 3. With DMI, did the DMI have it? Yeah. So you'd have got this warning sign coming in here at this point and saying to yourself, hey, maybe this is we're going to have to hold our horses on this one just now. The inverse of that, or what I'm saying there, repeated all over again, but without those sort of issues on the go, would be good to see. We're just starting that process now as we're actually being hampered by the 21 EMA, so let's just see how that goes. That's what I'm looking for. There's your technical analysis. I'm sure that you'll be able to take that and run with it and be able to bring out price targets and everything else for yourself. Up towards the 55 EMA coming in there on this 4-hour time frame for some sort of lower high profit taking target where you're just playing within the range. What we actually have here on the go is could easily be described in a number of different ways in terms of the format of this thing. Let's just do it real quick in terms of looking at this with lines and saying that perhaps, we're in some sort of ascending triangle type thing at the minute, and that, but are we actually having followed in from all this downward price action? Is that necessarily a fair point of view to have or not? Well, it's hard to know, and that with continuation of this over time, whereby we have sort of slight failures or just even just coming up here, just making slight higher highs, but without doing anything particularly special. It could turn into something like this, which I know you probably know the name of already, and of course its importance in terms of whether it's bullish or bearish. And then again, of course, actually what we also could say, which is probably the fairest way to do it in terms of, equal opportunities, then you've got this symmetrical triangle, which then could, of course, lead you to saying that there's a more or less 50-50 chance of going up or down. And I think you would look towards those other targets I've already drawn out for us in terms of understanding where we are in the markets. Bearing in mind that there is this negative trend on the go, that the ADX remains in that position, showing us that it's negative, still. There is this lower low here on the MACD, while we've had a higher low in terms of price action. So maybe you could say that was some sort of hidden bullishness. But then at the same time, that's not very particularly fair when, if you were to want to sort of counterbalance that, you could say there's this hidden bearishness between these two highs here. And that's why we can say that this all lends itself quite nicely to the symmetrical triangle, equal opportunities type point of view. I've got a target here. Can we make it 2,000 subscribers in 2 weeks? I think that we probably could. But of course, I'm just going to keep on saying this 2-week target until we get to 2,000 subscribers. So it's already been about 10 days. And in reality, there's no way that we could get this from the initial time that I drew on the charts, but wouldn't it be amazing if we could? And I'm also doing a Bitcoin giveaway to try and encourage that process to happen. So you can check out the Bitcoin video for that. Essentially, I haven't really decided exactly how it's going to go. Thinking, it's maybe 10 Satoshis for every view that the channel gets up until the giveaway date being like the 30th or the 31st of September, depending on how the calendar shapes up for that. Let me just see. Yeah, probably would have to be the 30th, because the 31st of September doesn't exist. So, that's how the calendar shapes up for that one. and that sort of thing. Look at these things and decide as well whether you see patterns or anything displaying on these oscillators or whatever. Let me know in the Discord and I'll join that, what your particular thoughts on the market, and I'll dive over here to link Bitcoin. But anyway, you can enter the competition just by putting comments on all of the videos saying "Rocky, you rock" as part of whatever chat. Just stick it in there every time you say it. That constitutes an entry, so you can have a whole conversation with somebody. As long as every time you say it, every time you put a message on, you say "Rocky, you rock," then it counts as an entry. What we have here at the minute looks like a failed head and shoulders pattern from this sort of point of view, from that. I'm just going to dive down the time frame so that we can take a look at it in a bit more detail and say, well, was it really fair to have this upward slope on it really or not? Instead, let's just kind of draw in without the upward slope so distinctly on there, and kind of get it to go sideways properly. I hate this tool. You know that. I hate this tool. I think for all its value, I hate the tool. Anyway, yeah, so maybe we're still looking at this and saying, right, we've got this as a possibility on the go. Of course, we've had movements outside of this area. And in terms of looking at this again, of course, 128K being that key area for us. We're at 120 at the minute. No surprise really to me that we're there. And we look at this background pattern here that we have on the go, these colors, this yellow box and this whitey background box, they're all part of a pitchfork that we have on the charts going towards the downside. And we're right here at the lower line of this thing. Movements down below this, very much negative. Could see the prices go back down to that 100K target that we've had, and also met in the past. Failure of that head and shoulder pattern at that point, and you'd be looking forwards perhaps to more downside price action. We do have the volume tying in with the head and shoulders idea, and movements therefore above the 125K, where you get actual proper decent opens and closes over more than just, a shitty time frame, would maybe perhaps lead towards that happening. We do have a death cross here on the go on the 4-hour time frame, and we've so far come down, since the death cross, we've retested the 200 and the 50 in terms of just the immediacy of the thing. Actually, afterwards, what we've done is tested the 50, come up, failed to actually touch the 200 again, back down below the 50 and up again. If we go down below the 50 again, at this point, it's right on that pitchfork area. There's your confluence for you, and that would be quite negative. There was something I actually wanted to do, so just give me a second here. This is on one of the other charts. No, it's BitMEX. I thought on Bitcoin, what I wanted to see was just to remind myself what pitchfork I have on here is the shift. Just wanted to see, an inside pitchfork takes it miles away, and the modified shift looks like that. And the shift is there. So I'm sticking with the shift for now. Yeah, thanks very much for their patience during that section. I'm not going to edit that out. Just going to leave it there. And yeah, the Bitcoin's then as well, looking at this and saying, well, where are we in regards to the Fibonacci's and whatever? Well, if we do fail this head and shoulders pattern and it moves down past the right hand shoulder, what does that tie in with? Only this 236 Fibonacci over here. And you can see the price target on the left hand side of the screen, if you like, in terms of that, or that y-axis is. In terms of the 382, that's where we are kind of more or less at the minute at 120K area, and a 50% area for that comes in at 130K. If we want to see the 618 golden pocket retrace happen, where, overall, overall, that's where the movement out of this could potentially take us up as high as. If we were to get a decent move off the back of the head and shoulders, then that could be where you see that retrace up towards, then continue the downward trend perhaps that we initiated over here on the 16th of August, right? That's all the negative side of things. Of course, if we do this and push on up past this area, then what you have here is a 236 where we could invalidate that Fibonacci and perhaps move on towards the top side, having already achieved the 618, which came in at the head of the head and shoulders, perhaps, so that would be your positive case. And then that would bring you up towards the upper line of this pitchfork in the background, 145k, opening up the possibility of going up towards these even bigger targets up above. That's the flux. That's the picturation. That's the situation for us, the picture, helping you trade over the weekend with a broader term perspective. I really hope that you take the value from these episodes that I'm putting out. There's a lot of lessons in them. And if you go ahead and watch today's episode for Bitcoin, you'll probably get a lot of value from that, I tell you what. But also, if you watch the second half of that Ethereum video, my goodness, you will get a massive lesson for free. I'm jumping over to do Tezos. Thank you so much for your appreciation. Thank you very much for your joining me today to watch this. I'll see you in the next episode. YouTube.com/Rocky Outcrop. Remember, share it with your friends. The more views we get, the bigger that prize pool. See you next time. Okie dokie.